Modok has arrived in February, officially belongs to discard. Now, yes, Modok is designed for killing, yet ironically, he actually supercharges discard decks and actually brings life into an archetype that could probably use the boost. Today, I've got 5 awesome Day 1 Modok decks for you to climb the ladder with in the newest season of Marvel Snap. Now, Modok being a Season Pass card is great news for both new players and in-game players. He can be unlocked as early as Pool 1, giving you a new discard option to power up your Morbius or discard that Swarm. And then for in-game players, he's going to go ahead and give a nice boost to Hela decks and some of the ones we'll talk about today. Now, with that being said, I do have timestamps down below if you want to skip through the decks that are most associated with you or that just cater to your playstyle. Let's start with Pool 1, and it's just crazy to see how good Discard and Destroy is compared to about a month ago. You're going to go ahead and use the Destroy cards to power up Wolverine, and it's all based around the big bad Strong Guy, Modok, Apocalypse, and Devil Dinosaur for your big power cards. Now you've got Modok to go ahead and destroy everything to power up Strong Guy on 4 or Apocalypse to play on 6. And then if that doesn't work, you've got Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Now you are far from a optimal build, but that's going to increase significantly as we go to Pool 2 and we unlock Morbius. That's where things really start to pick up. This is actually an early build on one of my favorite new Pool 3 discard decks, and it's all about boosting up Swarm. And we've got Nakia and we've got Okoye to go ahead and boost up our Swarm's numbers. The main strategy of the deck is to build up Morbius and the Collector, because every time you discard Swarm and Apocalypse, you're going to be building up the Collector and Morbius together. Now, I also have America Chavez and Apocalypse both in the same deck, and you can pick either or for turn 6. Again, if you don't get Apocalypse in your draw, at least you have America Chavez after you use Modok. However, if you want to use Strong Guy instead, slot out either Apocalypse or America Chavez in place of him. Now that brings us to Pool 3 and one of my new favorite discard decks. It's the same kind of version, but with a bunch of different upgrades. Again, same strategy. We're going to go ahead and build up massive numbers with the Collector and Morbius. And we're going to do so by powering up our Swarm via Nakia and Okoye. However, this time we have things like the Hood, Beast, and Calling Wing to help. Beast is going to go ahead and allow us to get multiple demons with the Hood, power up our cards multiple times with Nakia, and he's going to do all of this while continuing to power up the Collector. Modok is obviously there to get rid of everything, Dracula to get a powerful Apocalypse, and then America Chavez as that safety net and really to confuse your opponent if you're going to play Apocalypse or America. This has currently been my favorite discard deck to play early on because the Collector has no real counter to him, and then all these other cards just complement each other so well. Okoye, Nakia, they don't have to be in the deck, but they definitely seem to help, and you can replace all these options with the ones down below. Now, this next hybrid deck is full of muscles, guys. It's a perfect blend of discard and destroy. It's kind of crazy. We've got a Wolverine Destroy deck mixed with a discard deck using Morbius and Mystique powered up by Modok. Now, there are a lot of combos floating around with Modok, but no one seems to be talking about She-Hulk and Modok together. You can easily skip turn 5 and play both of them for an 18 power play. This also powers up Strong Guy, it powers up Morbius and Mystique. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Arnim Zola is definitely the first one out, but you can go ahead and have him as a backup plan to copy your Venom that you've used to destroy all these other cards. Or you can go ahead and destroy and copy Morbius, She-Hulk. He has a lot of uses in the deck, but if you don't like Arnim Zola, you can definitely experiment with the cards down below or just mix and match destroy and discard options depending on your collection. Now, you've probably been thinking, where the hell, Cozy, are the Hela decks? And here you guys go. We've got a lot to talk about today, but I want to quickly show the shell. As you guys know, Hela is going to have a bunch of big power cards, but you might notice Cloak up there, and he is something I have as a backup plan. You're going to see Cosmo everywhere this season because all you have to do is simply throw a Cosmo on Invisible Woman, and your Hela deck is dead, and there's no bringing that back to life. However, Cloak does give you one extra option before giving up, and you can either trick your opponent into thinking you're going to move your Invisible Woman, or you can not move them and play those mind games as well. After all you need is Modok and Hela to trigger to really get the full effect of the deck, and that's why Cloak is in there as a last decision. In the same vein, you can also do a Doctor Strange if no one else is on the board with Invisible Woman outside of something like Morbius, but you're going to have to get tricky, and you can't just rely on the big Hela bombs because everybody's going to be looking for it. You're going to see here in a moment all the other decks we talk about today are Hela mixed with different blends to make it work. Now we move on to Hela Ramp, and this is also a great deck for multiple reasons. You're just going to be abusing powerful cards, and we have Modok and Hela as a nice kind of backup option. You don't even have to use them if you don't have it work out. We've got the Electro Ramp deck that you'll be relying on, Sunspot getting all the leftover energy, and then we have Dracula to go ahead and soak up either Apocalypse or Infinite, and then Dr. Doom can be followed up by Absorbing Man. You can have Hela. There's a lot of things to try and work out with the deck. You can even trigger Modok several times. There are tons of different options, and this is a deck that I probably see a lot of players gravitating towards because it has an easy and familiar playstyle, but it's also extremely strong. Now, the next two decks are more in the making right now, but I think they've got a lot of potential. We have Furious Hela, and as you guys know, Nick Fury can add 3 random 6-cost cards to your hand, and the beauty of Hela and Modok is you only need to hide both of them under Invisible Woman. So the goal here is to get that early Nick Fury play with either Psylocke or Wave, get those 6-cost cards in your hand, and evaluate if you want to bring them back with Hela. We also have Hela Carrier in this deck, so there's a lot of Hell. Hela Carrier is going to be a great card as well to bring back with Hela. And at the same time, we can trigger different interactions with Modok. For example, you can cheat out Wong early and play Modok and Hela on Wong. Modok is going to destroy Hela Carrier and then destroy everything that comes out of Hela Carrier. And then Hela can reanimate that. And it gets out of hand, but I do think that Nick Fury and Hela Carrier have bright days ahead in discard decks. Which brings us to our last deck, and that is a Lockjaw deck. As you guys know, Lockjaw discard is a very strong deck in Pool 3, and there is still some major refining to do here, but I love all the low-cost options. Again, we're going to use Nakia, and we're going to use cards that can build up our other options, and Silver Surfer naturally is going to go and synergize with Swordmaster, Lady Sif, Lockjaw, and Nakia. Our Swarm can get boosted up multiple times, as well as our Morbius. You can throw Mystique in here as well to copy Morbius, although it's a bit risky with the Lockjaw Casino. And then we've got Modok to power up Apocalypse. Lastly, you could rely on Hela popping up out of nowhere and reviving everybody. And then you have the major Dracula play as well. LockDOK does well, and I expect it to get even better as I refine the deck. All right, guys, those are going to be the early Modok decks today. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed some of the builds, and let me know how they do for you. I've got an updated, in-depth guide for the discard faction. A lot of it is focused on Hela in the coming days, so subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to leave a like. And until the next one, guys, happy snapping.